catapulted magmatic rocks from within the Earth's interior during the Cenozoic era, solidified and created the highest volcanic massif of Ethiopia. The Ethiopian Plateau, over 2,000 meters high and 1,200 kilometers long, with the highest range in North Africa. The Simien Mountains. The main purpose of my trip.
Welcome to the Simien Mountains. Now we are inside the national park. Simien means north mountains of Ethiopia. It's arbory for many endemicism. We have endemic plants, endemic birds, and endemic mammals. And also the chain of the mountain is unique than other African mountains, like saying the roof of Africa. We have about 14 mountains above 4,000 meters.
My 6-day trek, with ascending the highest peak of Ethiopia, Ras Dashan, was planned for the 50th anniversary of the first Polish expedition to these mountains, organized by Andrew Wilczkowski in 1968. His team of 8-person climbed 18 peaks, including 9 higher than 4,000 meters, and led 2 new roads to Ras Dashan.
Jesteśmy w najpiękniejszych górach Etiopii, górach Simien. To tutaj w latach 68-69 działała pierwsza polska ekspedycja kierowana przez Andrzeja Wilczkowskiego. Wraz z nim był Andrzej Surder, Marek Grochowski między innymi. Celem ekspedycji było dotarcie do najwyższego szczytu gór Simien Ardeszel o wysokości 4600 metrów. My w 50. rocznicę podążamy dokładnie śladem tej polskiej ekspedycji. Wierzę, że nam się uda dotrzeć do celu. Zdobywamy teraz wysokość. Jesteśmy prawie na wysokości 3500 metrów.
This is a tomato family. We call it Solanium, but it is very poisonous one. The local people they use it as a detergent.
80% of Africa mountain ranges lie in North Ethiopia, and Simien Mountain is the longest mountain range in all of Africa, with almost 500 kilometers. In 1969 in Simien Mountain, the first national park in Ethiopia was established on an area of 200 square kilometers, which unfortunately related to the forced displacement of the Amhara's people, the local highlanders outside the park.
This park is endangered because of the people overgrazing, poaching. If this area is not more conserved, they are announced for 20 years as they are going to register it out from World Natural Heritage. Yesterday, I was telling you there was a village called Gich. They had a big negative impact on the nature, but now it's a wild nature. For the nature it's good, but the people, the elders, they are very sad when they move out.
Now, the Amhara's tribes inhabit the outskirts of the Simien Mountains. They dwell in small settlements with several round stone huts covered with thatch, called tukul, without running water and electricity. Leading a life that has changed little in the last few hundred years. They raise cows and sheep. They grow wheat, maize, beans, and an Ethiopian grain called teff, from which they bake local unleavened spongy flatbread, known as injera. After harvesting the grains, they still practice the ancient form of threshers with the use of oxen on a treadmill. The Amhara's people express their emotions with a folk dance called ekista, often danced to the accompaniment of wandering troubadours playing on simple single-stringed lutes called masingo. The rhythmic movement of the dancers' bodies mimics the trembling of a rattlesnake's tail. It's a dance concept of the eternal struggle between good and evil. The erosion of the Ethiopian plateau has made the Simien Mountains one of the most spectacular landscapes in the world. Jagged mountain peaks, deep valleys, and cliffs are home to a wide variety of endemic animals and plants. Out of 180 bird species found here, 6 are endemic. The thick-billed raven is one of the most spectacular. The largest of the crow family, an omnivorous bird, nesting in trees or cliffs, inhabiting areas up to 3,500 meters above sea level.
We call them thick-billed ravens. Most of the time they are couple, and they are also monogamy birds. If one of them dies, they live alone. They don't get crossbreed with the others.
In addition to their diverse fauna, the Simien Mountains boast unique endemic flora. Of more than 300 species of flowering plants here, as many as 20 are endemic. Grasslands and heaths are overgrown with evergreen shrubs and small heatherwood trees.
This is Jimbar Fall, the longest fall in Ethiopia. It's 530 meters down. The fall in 2013 for the first time in Ethiopia. Rock climbers, they climbed down from the top to the bottom. They were from Spain and Italy. It took us about 4 days to finish the whole climbing down. So at the end of the fall, there is a big water area. We call it Bahar in Amharic, means well like a sea. The locals, they believe that there is a devil in Jinbar. Bahar means a water area or a big sea, and Jin means like a devil.
Above 3,800 meters above sea level, the Afro-Alpine grassland zone begins, which is characterized by a moderate climate with heavy rainfall. The result of this mixture is an anomaly, the gigantism of plants. An example is the perennial, a giant lobelia, growing here up to 8 meters, and a flowering plant, street johnswort, which on the local slopes reaches a height of 10 meters, while in other parts of the world, these species are the size of a small shrub.
This grass, we call it festuca. The local people, they use it for their roof. It's waterproof one. This is a lobelia, the high elevation plant in Ethiopia. They grow above 3,600 meters high. We call them giant lobelia when it sends up this spike.
The basaltic Simien Mountains impress with mountainous grassland, crags with cascading waterfalls, and gorges with vertical walls of porous volcanic tuff. Due to the status of the national park, accredited guides, and for safety and protection, local armed scouts are required.
That's Mount Rastajan, the tallest top in Ethiopia. You see the last horizon? It does have two meanings, the Rastajan, the real name. There was a king by the time who ruled this area. His name was Dejen. Or other leaders, they use a title name, Ras. The other, Ras means a head. It gives us a head of mountains. It's the tallest mountain in Ethiopia.
Our 80 kilometers trekking route has been divided into 4 sections, with camps in Sankaber, Geech, Chenik, and Ambigo.
See, there was not any building by the time. Where we're going to Chenik, you can see it now. No camp, no road. Now many buildings, the road. The vegetation is totally changed. There is a road now at time you can get very close to, but the forest is totally different now and before.
Clouds formed by the abundant evaporation of Indian Ocean waters and the Red Sea, cooling rapidly over the Simien Mountains, become the source of monsoon rains, which feed mountain streams and brooks flowing into Lake Tana. The monsoon rains above the Simien Mountain and the Ethiopian plateau are responsible for the annual irrigation of the Nile Valley and, consequently, for the formation of the ancient Egyptian civilization. Lying at an altitude of 2,000 meters above sea level, at the foot of the Simien Mountains, Lake Tana is one of the largest freshwater reservoirs on Earth, ranking over 3,000 square kilometers, with a depth of 15 meters. From the southern edge of Lake Tana, a 100-meter wide river flows out, called by the locals River Abi, the sacred river mentioned in the book of Genesis, the river that flowed out of the Garden of Eden. Commonly known as the Blue Nile, the longest and most water-rich tributary of the Nile. After covering 30 kilometers through the Abyssinian highlands, the Blue Nile falls down the 50-meter cascade of the Tzisat waterfall, which in Amharic means big smoke, creating the most spectacular waterfall in sub-Saharan Africa. In the rainy season, 10 million liters of water pass through this waterfall every second, providing 80% of the water to the Nile, meeting the water needs of 30% of the African population. The grassy slopes of the Simien Mountains are the perfect home to one of Africa's most unusual mammals. The mountain monkeys, with a distinctive heart-shaped chest pattern known as the gelida. These unique monkeys can only be seen at an altitude of 2,000 to 4,000 meters above sea level, and only in two areas of Ethiopia, in the Simien Mountains and on the shores of Lake Tana. The geladas are the last surviving species of the ancient herbivorous monkeys of Africa. Their diet mainly consists of grass, flowers, seeds, roots, and rhizomes. The geladas live in family groups of up to 800 individuals. The guides of the herd are several old males, which emit warning bark when in danger. The female gives birth every 2 years, so the young can enjoy their mother's undivided attention until their second birthday. The long, dense hair protects the geladas from the cold, but does not protect against the predators inhabiting these mountains. Therefore, each evening the geladas look for safe hiding places on vertical rock shelves. There is another species that has also made these highlands its exclusive enclave, a creature with nerves of steel, existing on the edges of rocky crags. We are talking about an Abyssinian ibex, a symbol of the ancient Ethiopian emperors of Aksum. The only endemic chamois in sub-Saharan Africa. Currently, one of the most endangered species of mammals in the world. Hooves of these chamois have sharp edges and a concave underside that acts as a suction cup in challenging mountain terrain and steep grassy slopes. Poaching and a limited habitat threaten to completely wipe out the species, Their number, estimated by experts in 1969, was only 100 individuals. Currently, in the mountainous regions of Simien, there are about 500 fantastic chamois with magnificent curved meter horns. We started our trek to the Razdashen Peak around 2 a.m. from the Mbiko camp.
Jesteśmy już od 5 godzin w drodze. Zostało nam prawdopodobnie 2 do 3 godziny jeszcze marszu i około 400-450 metrów różnicy wysokości do naszego celu.
Peak Razdashen lies on the edge of a large extinct volcano. Ravines along its sides descend into the Tex River, creating the deepest canyon in Africa, with a depth of 2,000 meters.
Now we are almost close to Mount Razdashen. This is Mount Razdashen, the tallest top in Ethiopia. We live 350 meters to be on the top. It takes 1.5 hours to the summit.
After 8 hours of a demanding walk, after climbing 1,200 meters of elevation, we stood on the highest peak in Ethiopia and the 10th mountain in Africa.
Stoimy na dachu Etiopii, dachu północnej Afryki.
15 listopad 2017 rok. Edward Bochnak i Mieczysław Kwapik pozdrawiają lidera pierwszej wyprawy.
Góry
Pozostałych
etiopskie.
uczestników, których znamy.
50 lat.
Razdashen.
Kończymy naszą wyprawę w górach Simien. Wracamy do cywilizacji, tym razem już na mułach. Udało nam się dotrzeć do gór Simien w 50. rocznicę pierwszej polskiej wyprawy kierowanej przez Andrzeja Wilczkowskiego. Po 6 dniach działalności, po zdobyciu najwyższego wierzchołka, po 50 latach znów polska flaga załopotała na szczycie Razdashen. Mamy cudowną, przepiękną pogodę. Rozpoczynamy drugą część naszej wyprawy w Etiopii.